We watched the roast of Kevin Hart on Netflix, and we're breaking down the best, wildest, and most WTF moments from the roast.
Then we're reviewing Drake's Iceman album. What slaps, what's cringe, and whether this album is actually a return to form or just more noise.
All that and more on today's episode of the Black and Snerdy podcast.
Hey, Maurice and Odie gonna take over like Zach and Cody. Black and Snerdy is the best podcast, gonna boom like Wile E. Coyote. Gonna make magic, they move like they hairy. Ain't talking about mental health, no, it's not scary. Ain't notice she coming up with the astrology. Mo got a comic and that's the best policy. Maurice the goat, talking about animation cause you know. Odie she moving wavy like the boat. Watching some movies and she taking notes. Yeah, kick back, listen. Black and Snerdy have risen. Upload on a mission. 5 stars, never dissing. Black and Snerdy, ooh. Black and Snerdy, yeah. Black and Snerdy.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Black and Snerdy podcast, the only podcast where two sexy black nerds get together to shoot the shit. I am Mo, aka Kid Licorish.
And I'm Odie.
And together we are the aforementioned Nerds here on episode 188 of the Black and Snerdy podcast. How are you doing?
I'm feeling pretty good. I mean, you know, it's very warm.
Yes, it is.
I've been very warm all day long.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, on one hand, it's lovely. Sun's out. Buns out. Well, I want my buns to be out, but I can't because I have to go to work.
Yes.
But the sun's out, which is lovely, except for the only thing about when it gets warm in New York City is that it's too fucking humid.
Yes.
It's so moist.
Yes.
And there's nothing to rid you of the moistness. It's like being at school. Every time you leave your classroom, you're being hit by a wave of heat.
Yeah.
On top of the kids stinking.
Yeah.
They already stink regular times.
Yeah.
Now it's even worse.
It's that weird mixture of humidity and prepubescent odors.
Yeah.
That are just like mixed together.
Lots of BO. Like some of the kids will be like, oh, can I like change my shirt? But it's like, it doesn't matter if you change your shirt because you're not wiping anything down. It still fucking stinks.
Yeah, it does. It really is a matter of saying hi to Jean. Literally, like,
and they're not. They're saying
not.
Bye. They're saying bye, Jean. See you later.
They at the very least, when we were kids, our excuse was like Axe body spray had just been introduced.
Oh God, I remember. Axe body spray.
And unfortunately, we took that to such extremes as like, oh, this just works as like a catch-all, but we just sprayed it on top of funk, and it was a musky smell.
I mean, the worst part is when they start spraying stuff. Like I had to tell some girls today because they were trying to leave my classroom, spraying their Bath and Body Works or whatever. And I said, do not do that. Because the fact, like when you spray on top of funk, it doesn't help. It just makes this weird, sweet smelling, funky mess.
Yeah, it does.
And you already are smelling. There's so many weird things. Every time I walk into a classroom, my nose is scrunching up because of the fact that it's not smell good.
And that's why I could never be a teacher. I have a very sensitive nostril. I have a very sensitive nose. So like I smell everything more intensely.
Yeah.
And if you throw in the smell of, 13-year-old Quran, I'm just like, I can't handle this. Times 10?
Yeah. And it's a lot. And the thing that makes me frustrated is you can't tell the parents, like, yeah, your kid's smelling. I think you should be able to. There's so many, like, freaking bureaucratic red tape. Oh, it's not appropriate. But I feel like as the teacher, you are with this kid for so many hours, way more than the parents. Like outside of summer break, you are with them day in, day out. We should be able to say, your kid's stinking. Let's figure it out.
You should frame it as a health concern.
It is a fucking health concern.
It's a health concern and a public concern.
I am concerned. The other day, and this is not funny because I think the kid, like, needs some assistance, but they're not really getting it from their parent. But one of the teachers, when we were having like a team call, they were like, we really need to figure out how to get them some like new shoes.
Yeah.
Because the ones that they have, they've been wearing them so much that I can smell them. I could smell their feet from up here. And I almost barfed. And I was like, oh, that's really bad. That's really bad. You know, what are you going to do? How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. I'm mad at myself. A little bit of a, background. We recorded this a few days ago.
We did.
The idea is that we are going to be shifting our recording schedules. And I recorded this. We recorded this the other day. I checked it today. The audio was not in place and it was unusable. So now we are recording again, and it's I'm a bit frustrated because now I'm gonna work on this basically all night and try to get this out.
So when
tomorrow.
you said the audio was unusable, is that because we sounded too far away, or you couldn't hear us?
We weren't on these mics,
so it was just far away.
Yes. Yeah.
Like
so
we're in a tunnel.
Yeah, and at this point, we're almost 200 episodes in. It doesn't make sense for us to just put out a subpar episode, especially considering the topics that we're covering today. Like,
you want to be able to hear it.
You wanna lead with your best foot.
Unlike when you're listening to
Iceman. Well, I guess I ask, do you want to get into the mess?
Let's get into
it with our pop culture segment. No, that's not it. That's what I was trying to figure out.
Your drops.
Hold on, pause. I'll set that up again. I just want to make sure. Where is it? So then we're not on the... That's why we weren't on the right one. Okay. With that being said, shall we get into the mess?
Let's go.
All right. Now we are going to get into our pop topics section.
When you want a hot meal without a big deal, what are you going to pick?
Pop topics. All right. And as we mentioned at the top of the episode, we're going to be starting things off with the roast of Kevin Hart. I thought that this roast was entertaining in sections.
In sections is right.
Yeah. In sections is right.
It was entertaining-esque, I would say. So I'm going to say who was there.
Okay.
So obviously Kevin Hart.
Yes.
Usher opened it up, did a little singing with a little bit of impromptu, jokes in there. Shane Gillis, Jeff Ross, Chelsea Handler, Lizzo, Pete Davidson, Draymond Green, Tony Hinchcliffe, Sheryl Underwood, Katt Williams, Tom Brady, Regina Hall, Big J. Okerson, Naeem Lynn. Is that correct?
Naeem Lynn,
Tiana Taylor, Serena and Venus Williams, and lastly, Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Yes. A pretty, I would say like the stars who were stars came out.
Yeah.
The stars who were stars came out. Like, you get Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
Yeah.
And, you have the Williams sisters. You got Tiana Taylor. And, it makes sense considering that Kevin Hart started out as a comedian. He became this big blockbuster crossover star. So of course you're going to have a mix of the comedians who, work with him, the comedians who maybe started out with him, and the stars or celebrities that he's worked with, he's crossed paths with, he's parties with, he's friends with. So that makes sense to me.
You want to know what I found interesting? I know as a lover of roasts, I know usually it's people they come out, they say jokes about you, they say jokes about the other people that are on the dais or whatever.
Yeah. The idea is the we roast the ones we love.
Yeah, there's an intimacy aspect to it, right?
Yeah,
because you can say joke. I can joke about my friend. You can't joke about my friend. Type of thing.
Sure.
But I find it interesting that when I run down the list, there was only one Black stand-up comedian. All the other Black people were like actors, like other famous folks. Mm-hmm. But everybody else who was joking on him, like the comedians. Oh wait, did you notice that? I
did peep that. I did peep game.
I literally I did not think about that, and literally until just now when I read off the list.
Yeah,
and because I remember during the roast, one of the things that you had critiqued was like, you know, why are they're not comedians? Why are they up there?
Yeah,
and I do think, you know, especially someone like Regina Hall. She is a comedic actress. I don't think she's ever done stand-up to my knowledge.
Well, my apologies. There were 2 Black comedians up there. Or
Sheryl Underwood.
I'll say 2.5. I'll say 2.5.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, Katt Williams and Sheryl Underwood.
Yeah, and Naeem. Naeem is one of his writers.
Oh, yes, that's one of the Paper Cup Boys. Or
he's at the very least worked with
Plastic Cup Boys.
He's at least worked with
he's worked with
Kevin Hart for a very long time.
Overall,
so let's say 2.5 comedians.
Overall, majority of the comedians on the stage were white, and then we had some sprinkled in of like the small amount of Black comedians. The rest of the Black people on the dais were like just famous friends.
Yeah, I mean it was, as far as like if you take out the celebrities and you just have the actual comedian, Shane Gillis, Jeff Ross, Chelsea Handler, Pete Davidson, Tony Hinchcliffe, Sheryl Underwood, Katt Williams, Big J. Okerson, Namlin. So that's 9 comedians.
Yeah.
And of the 9 comedians that I just named, about 2.5. That doesn't
not two. Where are you getting half? There's 3 of them.
Naeem.
Is Naeem biracial?
No, I don't.
I'm confused why you're calling him
because I think he's more of a comedy writer than he is an actual comedian, like a stand-up comedian.
Okay.
And I could be wrong about that. Fine, let's round it up to 3. Of the 9 comedians who were there outside of Kevin Hart, there were 3 Black comedians.
Yeah.
Right?
And I think
that doesn't even fulfill 3/5.
Shut up. But I think that added to
clip that.
That added to the discomfort I think I and many other people felt while watching it.
Sure.
Because I think that Black people, we will joke about anything. Sure. We know that anytime we've gone in, when there's a war has started, when COVID began, when there's any kind of like crazy thing, we are known to put some jokes down.
Yeah.
They could be dark. We are an unserious people.
Sure.
That is not the problem. What the problem that I had was that all these white people getting up there, calling the Black women flat Black bitches, how they're crispy and dark, Kevin's, fucking short and dark and a crackhead, from son of a crackhead. Like, so many very racialized jokes. Now, Shane Gillis, kept prefacing, Kevin wanted me to say this. And I'm like, 1, I hate when people preface their jokes. 2, that doesn't make it any better. I don't care if one Black person told you, it's okay, you can say it, because I don't fucking agree.
Right.
And say it in front of me, and we're going to have a problem.
Okay, so I'm of 2 minds of this, because 1, you know that I, for a long time was a stand-up comedian. Mm-hmm. In my heart of hearts, still there. So I feel like I have a different appreciation for stand-up comedy and mm-hmm. the particular subgenre of stand-up comedy, the roast, mm-hmm. than you do. Mm-hmm. And then 2, I think you and me, like, individually operate differently when it comes to like the sort of philosophy on roast in general, mm-hmm. because off mic and outside of this podcast, you and me have talked extensively about how like you're not a fan of the dozens.
No, this is the thing. This is where you're wrong. I like the dozens.
Mm-hmm.
I do not play the dozens because I go from zero to fucking the depths of hell.
Mm-hmm.
I like, if you say something to me that's supposed to be like, oh, maybe something I might be a little bit sensitive about, I am not able to like have a nuanced, funny little hee. I'm talking about your dead grandma. And I know that those things are inappropriate. They do not create bonds of laughter. So I know I don't play the dozens, which is why I'll tell people, like, even though my friends and I, we laugh and joke on each other all the time. My siblings, we laugh and joke on each other all the time. I could do that with them, but on a regular basis, I know that I'm not about to go back and forth with you because I know that I'm going to be too sensitive and I'm going to go too far.
Right. And I think that is maybe coloring some of the not appreciation, but your view on like this particular roast. Now, granted, there are things that we're going to get into and we're going to talk about, but I think in general, like you're coming at it as somebody who inherently can't do the dozens.
Mm-hmm.
And therefore, because of the combination of knowing that you're super sensitive about certain topics and you go too far when you do try to do the dozens, like there's less of an appreciation for the sweet spot of those who can live in that middle ground of like, you know, joking on somebody for their faults, flaws, and flavors. And, you know, being creative within that realm. However, I also acknowledge that there were aspects of the roast that you feel went too far as like, let's be honest, the white comedians being like leaning heavily on like race jokes.
Yeah, I mean, I think I do have a different perspective, which I know it will color what I'm watching specifically when it comes to white people. If these were not a bunch of white comedians, I would have, and they were saying the same jokes, I probably would have just not, I would have whatever. It would have been like, okay, still been able to haha, right? But I feel like even though as someone who is not a stand-up, I feel a little vindicated because what's his name of SNL, Michael Che.
Mm-hmm.
He had some things to say about the roast.
Sure.
Because apparently he had signed on to do it, but he had to cut it out last minute.
Mm-hmm.
And on Instagram, he put up a post that said, white guys and black people joke different. Black guy roast is like, look at this N-word shoes. White roasts are like slavery, math, slain teens, S-crimes, slurs, family secrets. And I think that's true, and especially when they're doing it with like a black comedian, I think it shows certain aspects of things they probably would love to say all the time, but they can't. And so having this platform where the comedian's like, yeah, you could be as racist as you want, and they go too far because like there were some jokes that even though they were very racy, I could have said, I laughed at them, right?
Yeah.
Shane Gillis, when he made the joke about Kevin Hart being so sure that his family came over on the transatlantic slave trade in a bottle.
Ship in a bottle.
That was objectively funny, right? Yeah. Even
his ancestors came to America in a slave ship in a bottle.
Even the joke about the bonsai tree, like him being
the bonsai tree joke.
Tree. I was able to appreciate that, right? What I could not appreciate is Tony Hinchcliffe's disgusting, gross joke about George Floyd. Yeah.
So before I get into the George Floyd quote unquote joke, let me address the Michael Che of it all. Two things. I think he has a partial point in that there are inherent difference in how like black comedians will roast versus white comedians will roast as far as like topics and shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
But let's be real. Black people, when we do the dozens, and black comedians, when we roast, do the same thing to our own that we do to other people. Yes. Like, how many times do we call motherfuckers beige and high yellow and red bones and shit like that and like play off of that? Like, how much colorism is in like black comedian roast? Like, we do the same thing.
I 100% recognize that I am biased, right? And
you yourself talk about how even as kids, like, what's prevalent in the black community, African booty scratcher.
Yes. Those things, I hear those things every day, right?
Yeah.
Kids, that's what they are using to have jokes. Now.
So we do that.
Do it. But I still, even if it's biased, even if it's unfair, even if it's hypocritical, I will take that from black comedians, but way before I will allow a white comedian.
Because it's our own.
What did Kendrick say?
Because it's our own.
Never let a white comedian make fun of a black woman. That's law. Okay? So I can't, especially because a lot of the jokes just were not funny. I think there are plenty of white comedians I have seen who have made jokes about black people, right? But they were actually funny jokes. If you're just going over the bare minimum of, oh, she's fat and black and dark. Okay, what are you, a middle schooler? Like, go deeper, go be funny, actually.
But I do think that there were some clever jokes in there.
There were like some clever jokes.
And I hate to admit this because we're going to talk about this real quick when it comes to Tony Hinchcliffe. His joke about Lizzo, I think, was objectively funny.
The one battle after another.
Yes, the one battle after another. He said, Regina Hall is here. She was in a hit movie called One Battle After Another, which is how Lizzo describes stairs. I thought that was funny.
Yes, like, objectively funny. I don't think like that wasn't. I didn't look at that and be like, oh my God, that's the worst.
Right.
It just felt like, one, knowing that these jokes are written beforehand. Mm-hmm. So it's not that anyone didn't have time to look over, workshop, all that. When y'all were sitting there in this booth, all these white men sitting around writing these jokes, did nobody stop and say, this is starting to feel redundant, is very surface level, and we're not actually getting to the meat? Like, even though the jokes about Sheryl Underwood's husband, like his unaliving himself, mm-hmm. those were like shocking, right? But I think a good portion of them were funny, right? Yeah. But then after a point, to me, it just started becoming very copy and paste. How many times can we call Sheryl Underwood Sheryl Underwood so dark? How dark is she? Like, that is the joke that keeps happening over and over and over again. And I just feel like none of these white comedians, for the most part, had the range. Like Big J. Okerson, I thought his set was very funny. The reason I thought his set was so funny was because he knows Kevin Hart. Actually, they've been friends for 20 plus years.
He had a touching story about Kevin Hart.
And it was touching. It was funny. It was silly. It was all those things. He called him out. It was stuff. Like, that to me is what makes the roast fun. I don't want to just hear jokes that I could see anybody else make that does not know him. The point of the roast is that you have people who know you intimately who are going to make jokes about these things. We didn't hear the amount of jokes that could have been made about his cheating. Or
there was at least one joke that Tom Brady did about that.
Yeah, but just one singular one. There are so many jokes about his cheating, him crashing the car into the tree.
That was a joke that got cut.
Him having his friend blackmail him about having to come out and all these.
I don't believe there was a joke about
he
that.
And his ex-wife and everything that went on with them. There are so much shit that is dark. And would hit you right in the feels, but could still be funny. I just don't find enjoyment seeing white folks make these type of jokes, because even though they're supposed to be jokes, we're supposed to be able to ha and move right along. We also know that there are people what's his name, Big Chud, whatever, that white guy that got arrested recently, the one who goes around. Chud the Builder. Who goes around telling black people, oh, you're chimping out and calling them the N-word or whatever. They're watching this stuff too, and they will be like, oh, well, Kevin Hart on the roast, they said it too. And then it'll be used as a way to like justify the bullshit. And I wish that we didn't have to think like that. But unfortunately, due to white supremacy and the bullshit that comes along with it, you're unable to fully enjoy things and just laugh if you're someone who is aware of the politics of this country and all the things that go on. And so it's hard for me to find something just objectively funny, especially when I feel like they're being very surface level. You know, like there's so much more things that you can go after than like someone's color, someone's height, someone's weight. Like, go deeper. I want to hear something that's actually like damning to laugh, you know?
Which will then lead us to the George Floyd joke of it all. Tony Hinchcliffe made a joke that referenced George Floyd. The joke was, the black community is so proud of you. Right now, George Floyd is looking up at us all, laughing so hard he can't breathe. Couple things about this. One, just not a great joke. Just not a great joke, period, point blank, structurally. Two, the structure of the joke is the roast should be about Kevin Hart.
Yes.
And the subject matter of the joke is actually on George Floyd. Like when he's literally saying right now, George Floyd is looking up at us all, laughing so hard he can't breathe.
Yeah.
You know, he's in hell apparently. And like when you're doing a roast, the roast should be on the subject, who's the roast master, or the dais. This is somebody who is not in the comedy world. This is somebody who is not even on the dais, who's not even alive. And he's the subject of the joke. Two, outside of the civilian, it's a very charged subject for the black community. To even invoke that in a joke is in poor taste.
Yeah.
So like overall, that's a big fail. And coming from somebody like Tony Hinchcliffe, who is a big MAGA person.
Yeah.
Like he opened for
that Trump rally
in New York and stuff. He has a bad history of being in that conservative Republican Austin comedy sphere of weird, like not it, like his history and him telling this joke and the subject matter and the utilization of it was poor and wrong on all fronts.
It begs two questions. Or the main question is like, why did the writers think this was going to be funny? And the second one is like, do any of these people on the dais actually know each other, especially the ones who are the comedians? Like, do you actually know each other? Because I feel like if you did, you would have more interesting things to say. Not just in general, but especially when you're doing these jokes that are about the people on the dais and just like outside of Kevin Hart. And I think that showcased like, why was he there? Not to say Tony Hinchcliffe and Kevin Hart may not know each other because they obviously are in the same circles, but I got the perspective from him and Shane Gillis that they were just kind of there to make sure that Netflix, you know, has people that are have their own specials coming on, so people will see that. Maybe they'll chuckle at them, so they're gonna go search them and go to their
I get that more from Tony Hinchcliffe than I do from Shane Gillis. Like I could see Tony, I could see Shane Gillis and Kevin Hart maybe moving around in the same stand-up circles. As far as Tony Hinchcliffe, it does seem more like a industry friend type of thing. Like he, regardless of what you think of him or not, he has his Kill Tony, which is extremely popular. He has the Kill Tony thing on Netflix. He has the Kill Tony thing in Austin. He's a big brand in and of himself within like the comedy realm. And in that respect, I could see that as like Kevin probably utilizing Kill Tony as like a Netflix relations thing and as like a potential like PR thing to come on his show and, you know, promote whatever Jumanji for electric boar. Both because of the animal and because the movie will probably be boring. But yeah, like I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. So overall, how would you rate this special?
I'm gonna give it a 5. Maybe 5.5.
5.5 out of 10.
5.5 out of 10.
I'm going to go with a strong 6.5.
Okay.
I think there were more. I think there were some standouts.
Mm-hmm.
I think there were some memorable jokes.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly kind of filler, weird, like lackadaisical.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think that the highlight jokes did outweigh the more controversial negative jokes.
It's very
to me.
I think once things I started seeing a certain pattern of things, like first colorist joke, okay, how? Second, fat joke, haha. Third thing about like whatever stereotype or whatever bullshit about Chelsea Handler being a whore. It's like, okay, like when are we gonna get to something actually funny? But the final thing I'll say about it is one thing about these roasts, about this one specifically that pissed me off is the black comedians like Sheryl Underwood who on the dais are yapping it up, hee hee ha ha, showing all your fucking teeth. And then afterwards wanted to be like, oh, well, I was kind of feeling a certain type of way about this joke. But like you got up on that stage when it was your turn talking about, oh, you know, this is all about free speech. And that's why we're here today and hucking and chucking and jiving and all that stuff. Just fucking stand 10 toes down with what you did. Okay? I know Cheryl's been getting a lot of shit because she's already like being pronounced in her staunch Republicanness and all this stuff. And black people were up her ass about that. But you stood up there, you laughed, then let it be that. Because at the end of the day, you're a comedian. So you could have got up there and really tore some people a new asshole regardless of what was written. You didn't want to do that. So just don't try to pander to me now that you saw that people watched that and were like, you're out of your fucking mind.
I see.
Any last thoughts from you?
For me, I personally thought that it was more telling to me that the people who made up the dais of speakers were not the sort of legends within like black comedy. I understand that Kevin Hart is a crossover success when it comes to both stand up and Hollywood. But Dave Chappelle wasn't there. Chris Rock wasn't there. Eddie Murphy wasn't there. Jerry Seinfeld wasn't there.
He was Jerry Seinfeld did do his Mark Twain.
Sure,
roast.
but he wasn't
at this one.
He wasn't at this roast. And I think it's more telling of who wasn't there than who was there. Yeah. So that's all I'll leave it with. I gave it a 6.5 out of 5. She gave it a 5?
5.5.
5.5?
5.5.
For the Kevin Hart roast. All right. Moving right along with you know the song?
I believe so.
Okay, yeah. What's the name of the song?
Were you doing Why Can't We Be Friends? Why can't we be friends? Why can't we be friends? Or were you doing the song from what was that TV show? The Cosby one from like the 70s with Fat Albert. Was it that? What was it? I thought you didn't get through a whole little beat. So.
I started by saying moving right along, and then I led into a song. It was from the Muppet movie.
Oh,
the Muppet movie.
Yeah.
And the song is called Moving Right Along.
Yes.
And
right.
You thought I was singing the Fat Albert theme song or Why Can't We Be Friends?
I did. I'm hungry and tired, so my ears are a little off right now.
Clearly.
All right. Are you?
All right. Moving right along from the little man to the boy. It's time to talk about Drake's Iceman album. Now, before we get into this, we're prefacing this that Drake dropped 3 albums at the same time.
He did.
We are not reviewing all 3 of those albums in this segment.
We're not.
That's just far too much content to consume in a short amount of time. What we're going to focus on in this review is the Iceman album. We've listened to it a couple times now. Mm-hmm. We've let it sit with us. I did my best. I did my best to be as objective as possible. Mm-hmm. And I also did my best not to let other reviews and reactions influence my sort of thought process when it came to this album.
When people put out albums, like the same as with like movies and any type of media, I don't judge them based on what anybody else has to say.
And I will also preface by saying this. I am when the beef went down, I was on the side of Kendrick.
Yeah. But even still, like, even me being on the side of Kendrick, it never made me feel like, okay, I can never listen to Drake again.
Right. Like, I've never been the biggest Drake fan, but I've never been, like, the biggest Drake hater either.
Yeah, I mean, I am, to be very honest, that, like, Drake's stint of music while we were in college, even up to, I will say, maybe 2016, 2017. I think the last album that was really good to me was the Scorpion album.
Sure.
Had a lot of great songs. And then like after that, it started to fall off for me. But with this one, I was rating it against his old music to see like, is there growth? Like I was hoping he would spend some time having a clap back a little bit and using the almost 2 years.
It was roughly 2 years. So I'm going into this review. I'm doing 2 things. One, I'm trying to be as objective as possible by just talking about the project itself and what Drake's content within that project is. 2, I'm going to bar myself from invoking the Kendrick of it all as much as I possibly can. Mm-hmm. But you will see during this review how hard that is.
I think it's hard.
How difficult it is. Because for me, it's difficult because Drake spends a good portion of this album like referencing that time, which I understand if maybe it was isolated to just one song, but it's across several songs.
There's 3 songs where he's calling out Kendrick Lamar.
Yeah. So, and in different ways too.
It's 3 songs, and honestly, they're not the greatest or most memorable. They're just like, all right. Like, I just feel like when you had this amount of time, you should use it wisely. Right?
Yeah, you know what it reads? It reads as, have you ever had like a big argument, even a small argument, and maybe later in the day you're like, oh, that's what I should have said.
Yeah, for sure.
That's what it reads to me. Yeah. It reads to me as somebody who spent a lot of time dwelling on what could have been and is now delivering it well after the point where it would have had any actual impact.
But the thing is, you know what? I don't even honestly think that would be the issue if when he did come back, the clapbacks were actually really good. I think that they were subpar. His ghostwriters from his previous albums were not rolling with him on this one. It was subpar lyrics.
I secretly think he traded his ghostwriters for AI writers.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
And we're going to get into that in a little bit. But like some of these lyrics, some of these bars are atrocious.
I think that the lyrics were subpar and the beat sucked. And one thing about Drake, regardless of the content of the songs, one thing I could always appreciate was that like the melodies, like when Kendrick said, I like when you have us dancing, like making melodies and all that. Like, I love that. We do. We love that drink. Didn't matter what you were saying on there, really and truly. It was that when I turned it on, I'm going to be tapping my feet. I'm going to be dancing. I'm going to be in the club or whatever, having a vibe. And this wasn't it to me. Like, the first song that he opens up with was boring as fuck. And then
I believe that was
mishaps or something.
No, it was a make them. It was make them.
And how many times can you use make them in a fucking
hold on. I see what he was doing. He was doing a series of like songs throughout the album. Mm-hmm. I like to think of it as like the make them series. Mm-hmm. Make Them Cry is what opened up the album,
and it made me cry because it was so fucking boring. It was not good.
It wasn't the strongest opening to an album,
and it didn't really get better. Like, even out of the 18 songs, there's probably like 5 or so that when I heard them, I was like, okay, like this is cool. But even still, majority of that was not because of the lyrics. It was just because I liked the beat.
I'm gonna make a comparison. Drake is like Star Wars The Mandalorian. Like the early stuff was really good and reinvigorated my appreciation for what have you.
Yeah.
The latter parts and the newer parts are essentially slop. Mm-hmm. Like there are ideas in there that can be mined and could be interesting, but by and large, it is filler. It is non-consequential.
Not a good execution.
Not a good execution. Like here's my pitch. I think that if he would have taken the make them approach mm-hmm. on a 8 to 10 track album, mm-hmm. I think that if he would have concentrated on that kind of thing, because like the make thems are where there are a lot of interesting ideas, mm-hmm. even if not like necessarily like the best execution and the best like, what have you. But if he had stuck to that kind of approach, then maybe this project would have like been elevated on an artistry level. Mm-hmm. But there is so much filler on this fucking 18 song album mm-hmm. that like it gets drowned out. You know what I mean? Like there's more noise and fluff than actual like substance.
One of my favorite reviews for this album was the Los Angeles Times, mm-hmm. Because the headline was breaking down Drake's Temu haul of an album drop. And honestly, chef's kiss. Perfect, right? And I think that you don't want to be seen as an artist who just throws everything out there and is like, well, I'm going to give them 100 songs because they're bound to like 50, right? Like, I feel like as an artist of his caliber,
I don't even think he did that. I think he gave them 100. It
was 43 songs.
It was 43 songs
combined.
You know what the funny thing is? I think he took the comedy event promoter route, as far as like for anybody who has ever hosted a stand-up comedy event, not mm-hmm. an open mic, a comedy event. The idea is if you invite 100, you hope that 10% show up.
Yeah.
So I think that's what he was approaching with. If I flood the market with all these songs, maybe 10% of that will track on people's playlists.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, this isn't a new thing from him, because every album after Scorpion has been kind of like this long SoundCloud mixtape of songs, and it hasn't really been that great.
I think that can we get into the actual like bars?
Yeah.
Because I think that is where I draw a lot of my criticism from. Mm-hmm. So in the first off, even before we get into the bars, can you put the Iceman album artwork up real quick?
Well, this is a very special Iceman album cover because so he has purchased Martin Luther King's Jesus Christ.
And you're the one who's not drinking.
Michael Jackson's iconic bedazzled glove, right? He bought that a few years ago, so he used that. And so this, let me take off that's banner.
Oh, Odie, that's not.
I told you that's what I have. You didn't put anything else in there. You could switch it out and we'll do it over again. But I told you that's the one that I had. I didn't say I had a different one up there. Did you add the other one so that you could add the other one? And we could use that, but I told you that's the one that I have.
I'm trying to make a point of the actual artwork. I don't mind if you make the point of the
you have to
co-opting of it being MAGA, but like
you put it as a video. You have to go back.
Yeah, put it as a video.
That is video.
That's a JPEG.
Cancel it and look at the thing. It says video clips. That's not a video.
Okay, my bad. Sorry. There. Okay.
You have to take off the banner before we put that up.
All right. Okay, here we go. Let's do. Let's do 13 minutes remaining in this segment. Okay, so let's look real quick at the Iceman album artwork.
All right, so
cover art.
Drake has purchased Michael Jackson's iconic bedazzled glove. So that is what he used to promote it with this. Whatever. What is that supposed to be for the 6?
Yeah, that's for the 6. Now, here's the thing. For me, I understand the whole artistry comparison. He has so many hits. He's about to hit Michael Jackson's record for most #1 hit songs or whatever, right? That, right? My issue is if you just got finished being labeled a certain term, PDF file, why would you then
evoke the image of someone who's had their allegations,
who's also been, like that, like it, like even if you're just solely focusing on the creative milestone of it all, like it's still one. It just two things. One, it reads as cringe because of that level of it, but also two, it reads as cringe because previously certain rappers have said that culturally all you do is buy shit to opt into the culture as opposed to actually being of the culture.
Yeah.
You bought Tupac's ring, you bought Pusha T's microphone. Like,
why did he buy his microphone?
He was a big fan of the Clips.
Oh, all right. Well, that's sad for him then.
Yeah, it rings as like this buy-in culture of just like I'm a fan. He's a fan. He's a fan. I'm really trying so hard not to like invoke the Kendrick stuff until it actually comes up. But like this is what you're presenting to us. Like in your artwork for this album, you've now presented yourself as trying to buy into Black culture.
One other thing that is cringeworthy,
and we'll keep this quick,
about this album cover is that it has been very popular with certain sectors of the country, specifically the MAGA folks. The White House actually doctored this photo and added this AI MAGA chain to it. And then Trump put out one of these, videos he's want to do about how like ICE is coming to get you and all that, and was using lyrics from the song. And I'm like, once you get to the point where Trump is quoting you and like lauding your work, I feel like you really need to take a step back, look at your choices, and fix them. You have to. You can't tell me that this was like, did you get excited? I mean, we know your label mate, Nicki Minaj, has been fucking sucking Trump's dick for the last year or two. And it's unfortunate. But do you see the optics? Do you care about the optics? Or is everything for you just like a race to the top? Because even with trying to like get all these accolades and like triumph over Michael, it's not because you're actually better than him. It's because you put out albums where you could have 3 albums, 43 songs. It's a good possibility that these albums are going to be streamed so much for people, whether they're hate listening or not, that maybe you're going to break some records. But is it actually legit? Or is it just you like using your money as a tool to get you into places that you shouldn't be in the first place?
It doesn't surprise me that rich, powerful, petty, immature men kind of see like glom onto Drake. Because that's how he presents himself. And that's my issue with the album. Like the content of the album, the lyrics within the album read as somebody who is, I'll put it this way. I think that 2 things. One, I think that if you're coming off of a major beef and you are on the losing side of that beef, I think there's a way to focus on what you do best and charge forward ahead. Jay-Z notoriously lost to Nas in the beef between the two. And what did Jay-Z do? He bounced back with the Black album. He bounced back with like putting out banger after banger. Like, did he ever reference the loss to Nas? No. He just focused on like, enhancing his skills, putting out banger hits, expert lyrical flow and musicianship. This album reads as somebody who has literally spent 2 years dwelling.
Yeah.
Just mired in the loss. And with that, he took 2 years, he came back, and he decided that he had enemies. I got enemies. And he decided to like dedicate so much of the album, which is why like he's not the tough guy. He's not the mafioso or the gangsta that he pretends to be.
Nobody would have
like
ever thought that about him.
If he had made one song where he was like, yeah, I lost. I went into myself. I had to do a lot of thinking, but I'm gonna keep pushing forward. I maybe would have like respected that. Yeah. But on this album, it's a lot of gaslighting and it's a lot of like pettiness. It's a lot of, there's a list. I will have the list. Here's the list of all of the people that Drake disses or sneak disses on the Iceman album. Kendrick Lamar, Jay-Z, J. Cole, A$AP Rocky, LeBron James, Dr. Dre, Pharrell Williams, Rick Ross, DJ Khaled, Lucien Grange, Playboi Carti, Rihanna, Pusha T, Travis Scott, Mustard, and DeMar Rosen. That's so many people that, and I understand like being slighted by that because it was such a unique situation, but move the fuck on, bro. It's 2 years.
I think that like he's someone who, he's the person who would get like in a fight at school, and instead of like dusting himself off and figuring out how he was going to get better than his opponents, he just has his friends like bully other folks, right? Like that's what he puts the music out because he knows his fans are going to do that. Like, so which one is the one where he calls out A$AP?
He does it on 2 songs.
It was the one about your baby mama didn't.
He has a lyric essentially saying that when A$AP Rocky put out his album, Rihanna didn't repost his single, or something along those lines.
And so, Burning Bridges.
Yeah.
So I saw today that apparently his fans have been spamming her Instagram with these type of comments. So somebody on a picture she took, say your BM didn't even post the single. Drake is the GOAT with all these ice cubes, and then other people are coming through with the ice cubes and just harassing her for the one reason is that she didn't want to fuck him anymore. Like, she didn't want to be with him. He's been pining after her for that. But I'm not surprised that he spent all this time on this album. Like,
this is when a few episodes ago you mentioned that Drake might be into music. I think this is a good example of how that is possible. Clip that.
Because he has spent literally like a decade pining over her, mad that she doesn't want to be with him, and now going after her partner and her family, and then having his friends do the same, or his fans doing the same. And that's his whole shtick. He's not going to grow. He's not going to change. He's just going to put out this fucking music that's subpar, and his diehard fans are going to listen to it and get mad at everybody else who doesn't like it.
Okay, I'll keep this real quick. Some of the worst bars I've ever seen on an album. On Whispers, he says, I'm doing my big one. You doing a little one. What kind of man are you? A middle one. On Make Them Know, if a Rolex I want buy to drop, I reserve it like I'm Aboriginal. And then later in that song, he says, if a Rolex I want about to drop, I reserve that shit like I'm indigenous.
Then
no, hold on. I'm just gonna go through some of the.
I would like.
We don't have enough time, Odie.
Can you relax? We have.
I personally think that Drake has always had some like corny, cringeworthy lines, but some of these are the most lackluster, lyrically, like, compromised and boring and cringeworthy lines off of Iceman that he's ever had. To start, from Whisper My Name, he says, I'm doing my big one. You're doing a little one. What kind of man are you? A middle one.
So Make Them Know, he says, if a Rolex I want about to drop, I reserve it like I'm Aboriginal. Did you?
You said you're doing both.
But I said I was going to do Whisper My Name, and then so that when it goes every other one, so that I would do Make Them Pay.
No, you said I would do Whisper My Name.
I did not say that. I said I would just kick it off, because if we're doing every other one, if you started off, you're going to end up doing Make Them Pay, and I want to do the one for Make Them Pay.
Okay, well, fine. Then I will. I misheard you. I misunderstood you. I will start it. When you said I'll start it off, I thought you meant with the lyrics.
To key it in.
Okay. I'll start it off again. Look, Drake has had a whole career of having some borderline cringy and corny lines. I think the Iceman Project has like the most per capita, cringiest, corniest, weakest, middest lines and bars I've ever seen on a project.
All right, you want to start naming them? So the first one on the list, from Whisper My Name, I'm doing my big one. You doing a little one. What kind of man are you? A middle one.
On Make Them Know, he says, if a Rolex I want about to drop, I reserve it like I'm Aboriginal. Then later he says, if a Rolex I want about to drop, I reserve that shit like I'm indigenous.
And it doesn't even rhyme. Make them pay. First he says, I'm greater than everybody, like some shredded cheese, which ridiculous. And then goes on to say, and Khaled, you know what I mean. The beef was fully live. You went halal and got on your deen, and your people are still waiting for a free Palestine.
He said, in his defense, in the song, he says Palestine. On Dust, he says, girls from Atlanta, call me Santa.
Put it in the trash, is what he should have done. And then National Treasure, he first starts off with, ironic, because the Iceman was a nice man. Now I'm hot and cold. And then he says, check signing is my kink, pushing out ink. I feel like a squid. Because you have to have your...
Because squids have ink, obviously. Yes. Yeah, and honestly, the Iceman, Nice Man is the easiest one to have telegraphed.
And still he failed.
Hence why I think it was AI written. And on Shebang, this one might actually be the most cringe. Because it seems like it's the most like teenage girl of it all. Mm-hmm. I'm going to say it like a teenage girl.
Don't do that.
Managed on the beach, Shebang. All of my ops, they dead. Why did they gas me up? Why did they go to my head?
Mama. And lastly, Little Birdie. I put CC's on that hoe just like a titty surgeon. So, hey, these are not Pulitzer Prize winning lyrics. They will never.
Where's Quentin Miller in all this? Like,
he's fucked off. He said,
still working at Publix.
All of his ghostwriters, all of his beat producers fucked up on this album.
Of your ranking of this, what would you rate this album?
I'm gonna give it a 5. Because this is the thing. I think I told you earlier, like, what songs that I was like, I kind of liked, or I liked the beat of them or whatever. It's maybe 5 songs out of 18. That's not good. You're failing. You failed the test.
Yeah.
Like, you couldn't just give us even the bare minimum of having hot beats with your whack, corny lyrics.
Yeah.
And I feel like, as an artist, the bare minimum you could do is give us something to bop to. And I don't even feel like doing that. It's not about the songs being slow. Plenty of rappers have songs that are not like, club bangers or anything like that, but they're still good. Like, yes, bringing it back to Kendrick a little bit, but like Luther is a slow song, but it's still also one of the best songs on the album. I believe, didn't it win a Grammy this year? Like, so it doesn't have to be super fast and all that for people to enjoy it. These are just so mid. And I really would not be surprised if he just put the shit into AI and was like, make me, you're a Grammy Award winning rapper. Make me some songs that are going to go viral. And this is what we got.
Clip that. I personally feel as though that this album is getting a 5 from me. Just a strong 5. Like, at worst, it is a petty, almost 40-year-old man who is constantly trapped in this weird high school Peter Pan syndrome of they were mean to me, I'm gonna show them. He reads to me as somebody who would say out loud in 2026 why I oughta, like, but at best there, like you said, maybe 3, possibly 4 songs out of this 18 track that I might go back and listen to. And that is not a good ratio.
Yeah.
It really isn't. Like, he's been a playlist rapper for a long time where he will just put out a project and it will just be this wide disparity of like songs that will make different playlists, but like by and large, this doesn't operate as like a good cohesive unit of music. I think that if he had stuck with the Make Them series and made a 8 to 10 track album, he would have had something very memorable, but he didn't do that. And the last thing I'll say is that Future song and that 21 Savage song are probably the worst fucking songs. And that weird ass California song, the one that you like, Too Hard for the Radio, weird and not good. And this song is a 5 out of 10 for me. Yeah. And that's all there is to it on Iceman. Now, with that being said, that has been Pop Topics.
When you want a hot meal without a big deal, what are you gonna pick?
Pop Topics.
All right, are you ready to get into the things that made us mad?
I most certainly am.
Bringing it. What? We gripe it. We're not griping anywhere else. We gripe it. This safe space for us to share. We gripe it. We ain't griping anywhere else. We gripe it.
What's making you mad
this week?
Let's do a quick rock, paper, scissors. Rock, paper, scissors, say shoot. Rock, paper, scissors, say shoot. Rock, paper, scissors, say shoot. Hey, what's making you mad this week?
What's making me mad is people being punitive to you when they're focused, when someone else does something wrong, but they have to put a blanket for everybody. That's very annoying. And also when people try to like enact certain changes at the last minute and act as if like the reason that they're making these changes is because you're somehow doing wrong, when in reality it's just kind of the nature of whatever the situation is, and it's not one thing or one person, but instead of addressing those actual issues, they keep trying to bring in these new reasonings for themselves as to why you need to be like doing or not doing certain things. And when you're at work and people are doing that, it's very annoying.
It is
because
very
you're
annoying.
already dealing
Yes.
with so much bullshit.
Yes.
You know, and you have to then try to regulate yourself while also coming into the space and you're already annoyed.
Mm-hmm.
It just fucking sucks.
It does.
And working with adults, I recognize that working with adults while working with children is so fucking exhausting, because you have to regulate these kids and you have to regulate these adults, and nobody seems to know how to like breathe, stretch, shake, let it go. And so it's a lot. It's very taxing on you mentally, physically, and spiritually. What about you?
For me, I'm mad at myself. I do so much work on the back end of this podcast that sometimes things fall through the cracks. I don't do all of the checks that I'm supposed to do. And that's where we end up with this time crunch of recording a second version of this, and then now having to work overtime to then put this out.
Well, I think you should give yourself some grace.
No, I absolutely don't give myself some grace.
I understand you're annoyed at yourself. I understand you're flustered, but we do this podcast every week, and this is something that has happened maybe 5% of the times over all the times that we have recorded. So it's not to say like, yeah, you should make sure to double check the sound, double check the audio and the video and all that stuff like that, like that goes into it. But, you know, sometimes mistakes happen. And at the end of the day, like, we still are able to record. It might be more of a time crunch, but we're still doing it. And you do a lot of work. So I think you can clap for yourself. And these are the type of things where you just gotta keep top of mind for next time, so you're not having to do this again. so that you aren't going to be flustered with yourself. And I understand being flustered because nobody wants to have to redo all the work they just did. So I understand that. But you're doing a great job.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Now let's talk about the things that are making us happy.
I'm the baby merchant. Tots are us. I give you all the service and no damn fuss. Give the baby merchant just a week or two. I'll have your baby for you.
What's making you happy this week? I already did it first last time.
Fine. Had a fun weekend. It was nice to go to the R&B party and hang out with Keith and the others. It was nice to meet your friend Rachel.
Michelle.
I'll start again.
Okay.
Ask me what's making me happy.
All right. So, what's making you happy this week?
Okay, so I had a good weekend this week.
Mm-hmm.
I spent time at the R&B party, which was kind of my speed. Got to hang out with Keith. Shout out to Keith and the rest. And I enjoyed meeting your friend Michelle and her family and her circle of friends for her going away party. We went to another party that was also very fun, and we also got to hang out with some cool, nerdy younger people, which is always a very like insightful world as to like what the youth are doing and thinking and how they listen to music and what their likes and dislikes are. Like it was wild. But of course, always I enjoy doing this podcast with you, even if it means doing it a second time. What about you? What's making you happy?
Of course, I enjoy doing this podcast with you, getting to spend time with you. Shout out to Keith and our friends who we got to spend time with at the R&B party. That was really fun. Getting to go to the other party was really fun. I feel like just being outside. I think that you're so cooped up during the winter because it's cold. Nobody wants to be out. Like even when you do go out, it's like you're regretting your decision every moment. But this weekend, it was really fun. Even though I was like exhausted by the end of it, it was like, this is how I want to spend my time. You know, it may not be every single weekend you're going out, staying out until wee hours of the morning. But when you get a chance to do it, it's like you gotta enjoy these years, because how much longer are you gonna be able to just go out with reckless abandon, you know?
Sure. Yeah. All right. Well, with that being said, that is everything. Thank y'all for listening and watching the podcast. We'll be back next week with more of this nonsense that we do on a weekly basis. And on this week, we will be putting out 2 episodes. So stay tuned for that. In the meantime, take it easy, keep it sleazy. Bye.
Bye. Thanks for listening, nerds.
Keep the show growing. Listen, comment, and download on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, or watch full episodes on YouTube.
Follow the show at Black and Snerdy.
Follow me at Licorish is Legit.
Find me at thatsod_e on Twitter and at thatsod.e on Instagram.
This is the Black and Snerdy podcast,
where nerds of a feather flock together.